Hey John, I'm trying to get this to work. So, now it's moving. Okay, I think Facebook's working now. It wasn't moving, but now it is. So good. I see people. My dad says Facebook is frozen, but I think it's working now. Maybe. This is the annoying part of live. Like, can you hear me? Is it working? I know Instagram's working. Okay, good. Facebook is working. So good. I'm glad everybody's here. I am in a cafe bar today. This is Cafe Fiorentina. It is in the Trionfale area. There's the biggest market in Rome is right in front of me. It's like an open air market, but it's basically in a big warehouse. So I am across the street from that. This is a great place for coffee. They have this rather new cappuccino machine that has neon lights in it. So it's like, I call it the disco cappuccino machine. They have a lot of good pastries, excellent chocolate, and if you can see behind me, it's just a nice place. Lots of wine. So today, what I'm drinking is a Moscow Mule. I've only had these that my dad has made, so I've never had one in a bar and served in the proper cup. It has little slices of cucumber. It has vodka in it, ginger beer, lime, and I think some kind of seltzer. So that's what I'm drinking today. Not a very traditional Roman drink, but that's okay. This place has a full menu of drinks, so I almost got they had a mango spritz, which looked really good. But I decided to go with the Moscow Mule, so I thought it'd be a nice presentation. Alright, so everybody's here. Good. So, as usual, I'll start off today with a little update on the virus in Rome. So it's continuing to go up here. Today we had another 1,600 new cases and I think 14 dead. We're back over 50,000 active cases. It got down to I think 17 or 1,800 at one point. I could be wrong. Hello Kentucky. So it is continuing to go up. Still no sign of another lockdown here. Again, it was kind of expected that the cases would go up once people went on vacation and once the borders opened up to the rest of Europe. And as far as I know, there hasn't been an uptick in schools as well. So schools started back a couple weeks ago, and they're doing different things kind of depending on which school you go to. So some of my daughter's friends, they're back full-time in school. Some of them, it's on and off, so like 1 week virtual, 1 week in person, and some are doing, like some grades are just staying home, and yeah, so I guess it kind of depends. But I haven't heard anything about an uptick in cases because of schools reopening. And now vacations are kind of over, so there's probably not going to be as many people returning from vacations because summer is officially over. Like the first day of fall, it dropped down into the 60s. Today it was in the 50s. And just a few days before that, it was like 90s. So, yeah, not many more summer vacations happening. And then I read something today. I didn't like completely read the article, but it said that Rome now has, or maybe Italy rather, now has a 30-minute COVID test. So they're hoping to be able to just completely stop quarantines. They can test you at the airport. If you're good, you don't have to quarantine. If you're not good, I guess you either quarantine or go home. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. I guess they wouldn't put you back on an airplane. But that's great. So hopefully things can open up once they get all that settled. The rest of Europe not doing so well. Italy's doing, I think, best of all the major countries in Europe. France, I saw a little chart of the graph of their cases, And Italy, peaked in the March, April, and then it went way down, flattened the curve, and then there's just kind of like a tiny bump now. And then France, there's when Italy was going through everything really badly, France had like a little bump, and now it's way up. So it's almost as if France is having their first wave. Spain, it's definitely a second wave for them, so they had a big peak, then it went down, and now it's back up to where it was. But Italy, it's just a little bump, so hopefully it stays that way. And again, I think that's because it was so bad here that everyone took everything seriously. And, you think of Italians, they like to kind of play by their own rules, but they really care about their people and their culture. And so I think that, when the virus was really peaking, especially up north, everybody took it to heart. And so you do see some people kind of slacking off a bit with the masks. They wear them a little lower, so their nose is showing. But for the most part, the Romans are still taking it very seriously, or the Italians rather. So I think that's why they're not having as big of a bump. So that's that update. Update on the patrons. So I started the patrons thing. I guess I announced it to you 2 weeks ago, and I have 105 patrons now. That's amazing. I wasn't expecting that at all, so I'm super excited about that. So thank you. This weekend, on Saturday, we're going to have our first patron live event. So I'm taking everyone to kind of an after-hours evening visit to the Vatican museums. So we'll see how that goes. That should be a lot of fun. So today, I want to talk about my Roman Novena. So I don't know how many of you were here several years ago, but I did a Roman Novena. It's not like a traditional, it's not a real novena. It's something I just kind of made up. But I visited 9 churches every day for 9 days and prayed for your intentions, my intentions, over that period. And so I called it the Roman Novena. And it was a lot of fun. It was very humbling because I had hundreds of people submit prayer requests. And some are very personal, some are very big stuff that they trusted me to pray with them for those things. And that was during the Year of Mercy. And so I picked 9 churches that were kind of on the pilgrim's path. So during the Year of Mercy, there are 4 traditional pilgrim's paths through Rome. There's like the papal pilgrim's path, and there's the Marian one. I forgot the other 2. But I kind of connected some of those churches, and that's where I would pray, was the churches that were along that path. So I went to the Scala Santa, I went to St. Mary Major, I went to the church with Our Lady of Perpetual Help, I went to the church where St. Catherine's buried, St. Jude's Arm, St. Peter's, I don't remember all of them. But I wanted to do it again for 2020 because it's a rough year, right? And so I've been kind of putting some churches together, and I got some input from some friends, and I was all set to repeat some of the churches from last time, like the Scala Santa, Santa Croce, St. Mary Major. And then this morning, I went out to kind of do a recon, a dry run of the Roman Novena, and I decided to go to a bunch of new places. And so I wanted to focus on churches that not a lot of people go to. And some of these are like way off the beaten path. But I wanted to focus on current events, so topics that are important kind of in the news right now. And so I'm just going to go over a couple of those churches. It's all on my website. I mean, don't leave right now to go look at it. But I posted it all on my website, and there's even a form where you can submit your prayer requests. And I don't ask for like email addresses or names. It's not like a way to up my email mailing list. It's just literally a form where you type in your prayer request, hit enter, and it'll pop up, and I can take those with me every day. So I know some of you aren't familiar with novena, but it's a 9-day prayer, and there's official novenas that we pray for certain things. So I just kind of like made this to be a novena. Maybe one day it'll be a real novena. Who knows? But in my case, it's just 9 churches, 9 of the same churches over 9 days. And I do go to each church every day. So today I walked about 7 miles, just doing my recon and checking hours and things like that. The first church, though, it's in the Prati neighborhood. And so you would really have to go out of your way to find this church. This church is named after the father of Mary, Joachim. And this church actually has a chapel dedicated to the United States. So they have several side chapels. They have one to like Germany. They have a Canadian chapel. They have Argentina. Way in the back corner, there is a chapel for the U.S. And so the United States is dedicated to, or the United States patron is Immaculate Conception. And so they actually have a statue of Immaculate Conception. They have a prayer written in English, like in the marble. And they have this. They have a statue of Saint Michael and Archangel Gabriel. Their feast today. And then they have the women of the Bible, so like Esther, Judith. I don't remember which other ones they have. But I thought that would be a great place to pray for America, right? Because it's a chapel dedicated to the U.S. Now we have an American church here in Rome, but there's really nothing American about it. It's dedicated to St. Patrick. We just happen to have the American community there. But it's pretty cool that there's a chapel dedicated to the U.S. here in Rome. And so specifically at that church, I'll be praying for the election. You know, we got a big election coming up. Also, an end to all the division, because you know there's like families that are being torn apart, friends that are being torn apart. So praying for an end to that, and also praying for an improvement to race relations, because that's a big thing. I mean, it's a big thing everywhere, but I'm American, so I'm kind of focusing on the U.S. And I really had a hard time. This is crazy, and it's sad. I had a hard time finding a place in Rome to pray for like race issues. I mean, of course, you could pray for that anywhere, but I was looking for like something specific. There's just not a lot of things in Rome. There's not a lot of churches dedicated to saints that are big on race issues. I found one church that had a statue, but it's closed. So I couldn't go there. I went there today, and I was going to try to check it out, make sure it worked with my little walking itinerary. And it's only open at 8 a.m., which doesn't work because one of my other churches opens at 8 a.m., and so I wouldn't have made it. It's only open from 8 a.m. to 8:30. So I'm just going to lump that in with the church dedicated to the U.S. I think that's okay. The next one I'm going to go to, it's also in Prati. It is the Church of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. So a lot of you might know it as the Purgatory Church or the Purgatory Museum. And so this is a church, it's just across the river from the main part of Rome, near Castle Sant'Angelo. And it has a little museum in the back. It's really just kind of a bulletin board, basically, with a couple like prayer books and papers. But it's a museum of purgatory. So the church caught on fire, and one of the things that survived was this little prayer book, and in it was like a handprint. I could have that wrong. It might be a different relic that survived. But the priest of the church decided to turn it into a museum for purgatory to show signs from the afterlife. And so they have all these things with like, it's comforting because you could see like people from the dead, you know, leaving signs for their loved ones. But it's also kind of creepy to see that in real life, like a prayer book that has a handprint burnt in through the pages, or there's like a note that a husband left for his wife saying, with like some coins saying, "Have masses said for me." So I thought that would be a good place to pray for the dead, right? So the Purgatory Church. And then I will cross the river and I'm going to go to San Marcello. So I don't know if you were watching the prayer service the Holy Father did during the Rome quarantine. If you recall, it was in St. Peter's Square. It was pouring rain and he prayed, then he went towards St. Peter's and there was an icon of Mary. So that was included in my last Roman Novena. It's Our Lady the Protectress of Rome. And I was going to include it this time. But he also had there the crucifix from the Church of San Marcello. And this is considered a miraculous crucifix because it survived a fire. And then one of the previous plagues, the people of Rome took it from the church, processed it to every neighborhood in Rome, ending at the Vatican, and then that plague ended. And so the Holy Father, during the quarantine, brought that crucifix to St. Peter's and prayed for an end to the pandemic. And I don't know if you follow like some Catholic news, but there was a big to-do from a certain group of people that said the Holy Father ruined the crucifix because he left it out in the rain. It's not ruined. They were planning to do some restoration to it, which they did, and the wood is fine and it's back on display. And so I'm going to pray there for an end to the pandemic and, virus stuff. So from there, I'm going to walk over to the Gesù. So the Gesù, that's kind of on the beaten path. A lot of people know about this church. That is where St. Ignatius lived. That's where he died, and that's where he's buried. And he is one of the patron saints of educators. So I know 2020 is very hard on teachers. It's very hard on, DREs. My mom's a DRE. It's really hard on people that are new to homeschooling. So we know a lot of people that have, because of all this, have switched to homeschooling. So they're having to learn. I know when we started homeschooling, it was quite a struggle for us just learning all of that. And then also it'll be a great place to pray for parents that are now thrown into the remote learning, because I know a lot of parents didn't sign up for that. So I thought St. Ignatius would be a good place to pray for educators. And then from there, I'm going to walk over. I'll have a coffee break at this point because I'll go right by Sant'Eustachio, so one of my favorite cafes. And then I will go to the Church of St. Mary Magdalene. Also, nobody goes to this church. It's right by the Pantheon. It's kind of, if you're at the Pantheon, it's behind you. And it is it's a church that has the tomb of St. Camillus, or Camillo. He is the patron saint of healthcare workers. And so I thought that would be a good place to pray for healthcare workers, not just doctors, nurses. He covers everyone. So I'm going to go there for healthcare workers. And I went there today, and I knew I wanted to go to this church because they have a wax body of his, and I thought that'd be a good place for healthcare workers. So I went there today, and the whole church is being renovated. So the inside, where they have the wax replica of him, it's completely sectioned off. I can't even get to it. But thankfully, they moved his relic. They have a bust with his relic in it. They moved that to a spot where I can get to, so that's good. But the church looks just awful. It's all covered in scaffolding. But the prayers will still work, right? And then from there, I will walk over to San Agostino. So this is one of the churches that I kept from previous Roman novenas. It's I wanted to try to replace it, but it's just too good. So that's where St. Monica is buried, and so that's a great spot for people with difficult marriages and difficult children. But they also have a statue. It's Our Lady of Childbirth, and I get so many requests from people that are trying to conceive, or they're having complications, or just anything baby related. This is the place to go. So I kept this one from last time, and so I'll be going to San Agostino, and that's another church that right now is just completely covered in scaffolding. So it is again a church that not a lot of people visit, but it's just an amazing church. They have the facade is marble from the Colosseum, the Travertine marble. Inside they have Our Lady of Childbirth, they have St. Monica. They also have a Caravaggio, Our Lady of Pilgrims, and they have an altar by Bernini, and they have an icon attributed to St. Luke. And it's right between the Pantheon and Piazza Navona, so it's crazy it doesn't get more visitors, but it doesn't. A lot of art students go there. And of course I take people there. But if you've ever been there, it's a beautiful church. Right now, totally covered in scaffolding on the inside. They're renovating everything, but I can still get to the statue. You can get to the Caravaggio, and you can get to St. Monica. So I'll be going there for those things. And then after San Agostino, I'm going to go over to Chiesa Nuova. So that church is surprisingly one that a lot of people don't visit, but a lot of people pass it because it's on one of the main streets in Rome, the street that connects St. Peter's to the train station. And so if you've ever driven a car down through Rome or taken a bus, it goes right past Chiesa Nuova. And that is where St. Philip Neri is buried. That's his tomb. And so I'm going to go there to pray for priests, because we always need prayers for our priests, right? But also he's the patron saint of Rome, and I love Rome, so I could pray for Rome there. And St. Philip Neri is the one that came up with the 7 Pilgrim Church pilgrimage. So that's one of the day tours I do, where I take people to the 7 pilgrim churches of Rome. So he put together this walking pilgrimage where he would take like a group of priests or seminarians around Rome to 7 very significant churches. So he'd go to St. Paul outside the walls, where Paul is buried. He would go to St. Sebastian. That was the catacombs that held Peter and Paul for a short time. That's where St. Sebastian's buried. He would go to St. John Lateran. That's the Cathedral of Rome. To Santa Croce. That's where the relics of the Passion are located. He would go to St. Mary Major. That's it's the most important church in the world dedicated to Mary. He would go to, what am I missing? Oh, St. Lawrence, San Lorenzo. So that's where St. Lawrence is buried. And then he would go to St. Peter's Basilica. And so I take people on that pilgrimage all the time. Well, when we're not in pandemics. But we do it by car, so it's a lot easier, because that's like a full day's walk. And so he's a good place for my own personal prayers, because he got people doing pilgrimages around Rome, and that's what I try to do. And then from there, I'm going to go to Castel Sant'Angelo. Now, technically, this isn't a church. It was originally the tomb for the Emperor Hadrian, and it became a fortress to protect the Holy Father if he was ever under attack. But St. Michael is the patron saint of law enforcement officers, police officers, and so I thought that would be a great place to pray for the police, for law enforcement, because there's a lot of stuff going on there too. Now, as I said, it's not technically a church, but it is a place that has a chapel, because the popes live there, so there's a chapel inside. So I'll be praying for law enforcement at Castel Sant'Angelo. And then I'll be going right down the street to the Church of Santo Spirito. So that's that's kind of my home English parish in Rome. But it's the Shrine of Divine Mercy. And so that's going to be kind of like my catch-all, because we all need mercy, right? So yeah, that's my Roman Novena, and that is going to start on Thursday, on the 1st, so October 1st. And again, I'm going to go to all 9 churches each of the 9 days, and there's a form up on my website so that you can submit your prayers. I'll have my own prayers that I'm taking, but any prayers that are submitted anytime during the novena, I'll have them with me so that I can pray them at each stop, or the stops that are specific to that prayer. So I'm looking forward to it. The last time I did the Roman Novena, it was in the middle of summer, and I did that one because that was when my oldest daughter had her first week-long camping trip with scouts where there was no contact with the parents, and I was freaking out a little bit, and so I thought that I would do this novena over the time that she was gone. But that was the middle of summer, and it went through July and August, the end of July, beginning of August. So some of those days hit about 100 degrees, and it was tough. So I'm especially looking forward to doing it this year when we're in the 60s. So I'm hopeful that you'll be able to follow along. So what I'll do is each day I'll visit each of these 9 churches, and like I did the last time, I'll do a video at one church a day, so that by the end of the 9 days you have all 9 churches. A little bit about the history of the church, the reason that I'm there, because again, a lot of these churches are places that people never see just because of the fact that they're so off the beaten path. Anyway, I love Rome, so I love showing off Rome, and that's what I'll get to do with the Roman Novena. So now I'm done talking, but I'm going to go through your questions because I saw a lot of stuff come up. Again, if you missed the beginning, I'm at Cafe Fiorentina, and this is in the Trionfale area. I'm right by one of the main markets of Rome, and I'm drinking today a Moscow Mule, which has slices of cucumber in it, so vodka and ginger. Okay. Just looking to see what all you've said. Yeah, the patrons. So again, thank you for all of you who have signed up to be patrons. And I mentioned the first group event is going to be this Saturday. I'm going to do an evening tour of the Vatican museums. That doesn't include the Sistine Chapel, so I can't be live in there. But I'm going to start with a drink in the courtyard, and then I'm going to take you to some of my favorite. It's not like an official tour of the Vatican museums. It's me pointing out my favorite places in the museum. So I'm going to take you into the Pinacoteca. We'll get up close with an exact replica of the Pietà. We'll see the Raphael rooms, and I'll just show you some of my favorite pieces and talk you through it. So I'm excited about that. But that's this Saturday, 8 p.m. Rome time, so that's 2 p.m. Eastern. Then you can figure it out from there. But if you want to become a patron, you can find the link on my website. Let's see. Hi, Pamela from Knoxville. Pray for India. Still, churches aren't open in India yet. That's very sad. Hello to Georgia. Richard asks if Mexico has a chapel. Not at this church. So the church I mentioned, the first church I'm going to visit is St. Joachim, and they have a chapel dedicated to the USA. So not North America. It's not the English-speaking church. They don't have an English mass or anything, but they have a chapel dedicated just to the U.S. And I see, yeah, I'm going to go to all 9 churches each day. So it's a lot of walking. Jeannie Owart, you're praying for me. Thank you, Jeannie. Cindy says, big debate tonight. Yep. My daughter actually has to watch the debate for debate class. For her, it's going to be at 3 a.m. because time zones. Jerry asked, what is the name of the church for English-speaking people? The official church is St. Patrick's. That's near the U.S. Embassy. But there's a few English masses in Rome. The one I go to is Santo Spirito, which is right by the Vatican. Pamela asks, what's my favorite thing about walking the streets of Rome in the early morning? Well, in the summer it's not hot. The light is beautiful. Not a lot of people out. So that's it. Karen says, when am I going to air these churches? So I will post, so during the 9-day novena, I'll be at each of the 9 churches all 9 days, but each day I'll post just from one church. So I'll probably do the Purgatory Church on the second day, because that's the second day, or that's the second church. I'll probably go in order. Although St. Faustina's feast is next week, and her church, there's relics of her at the Divine Mercy Shrine, so I'll probably do hers on that day. But I'll post them on my website, I'll post them on Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube as well. Let's see, what else? Aaron says, thanks for sharing my stories. Thanks for watching, Aaron. Karen is not free Thursday. No, the Patron thing is Saturday, not Thursday. So the Patrons Museum visit, it's just for patrons, but I will, if you can't make it and you're a patron, I'll save it so you guys can watch it later. I'm just scrolling through your comments now. The comments here. Are you enjoying the Tipsy Tuesdays? Is this time good for everyone? I feel like this is a good time because it's lunchtime in a few time zones. And other people maybe you're just, you have some time, I don't know. Let's see. Is there a McDonald's across from the Pantheon? No. There used to be a McDonald's right in front of the Pantheon. But I think they got kicked out. Like they didn't want it there. So now there's a McDonald's kind of near Piazza Navona. We're about to get our first Starbucks. I'm excited about that. I miss Starbucks. I don't miss the coffee from Starbucks, but I miss like pumpkin spice lattes and peppermint mochas. I know some people are just freaking out that we're getting a Starbucks, but like Rome coffee culture isn't going to die, so what's the problem of having a Starbucks here and there? Jerry asks, of all the churches in Rome, what do I love the most? Excluding the Vatican. So actually St. Peter's isn't my favorite church. It's not even on my top 5. My favorite church is Scala Santa, also Santa Croce, and St. Mary Major. Those are kind of my top 3 right now. But it changes from time to time. Is Castel Sant'Angelo a church? It's not a church. They do have a chapel. But I figure, so for Castel Sant'Angelo, the reason I wanted to go there, because I can go to any church, a lot of them have icons or statues or paintings of St. Michael. But St. Michael, the tradition is that Gregory the Great was processing through the streets of Rome during the plague. This is 6th century, I believe. And he got to a certain point, and he actually he had an apparition of St. Michael the Archangel standing on top of this big fortress. And so St. Michael the Archangel actually stood on the spot where Castel Sant'Angelo is. So that's why I wanted to include that one for this, even though it's not technically a church. But I'll go into more detail on that when I'm there. So Sandra says time is perfect. Karen says time is perfect. Good. I like this time too. It's dark now though, so I don't know how many more times I can do rooftop aperitivi, rooftop Tipsy Tuesdays, because it's getting dark so early now. And so a lot of the rooftops close when it's cold. But there are plenty of places like this. I mean, this place outside, they have tons of tables. It's packed. There's nobody in here. You can kind of see behind me, I guess. Cafe Fiorentina. So I come here a lot for breakfast. They have this pineapple pastry, so it's like a pastry filled with pineapple. It's so good. Eva says this time works for Tipsy Tuesday. Very good. gone. I'm all out. Deb asks how many churches are in Rome. About 1,000. The official count is 985, but that's only diocesan churches. So there's also like religious community churches, like Dominican churches and Franciscan churches and things like that. So 985, but the Diocese of Rome extends all the way to where the airport is. So it's kind of hard to say exactly how many churches. Where's the Starbucks going to be? The Starbucks is going to be right by the Apple Store. So it's kind of crazy, but Rome doesn't have an Apple Store in the city center. We're getting our first, hopefully over the next few months. And that is located right in the city center. I don't know if you saw the video I did a few weeks ago at the Feast of St. John the Baptist. But we have his head here in Rome. And so that church is San Silvestro, and the Apple Store and the Starbucks is going to be right by the head of St. John the Baptist on the Corso. The Corso is the main street that cuts through Rome from Piazza del Popolo to the Victor Emmanuel Monument. So it's in a very good location. Do I think one Starbucks questions here? Do I think Starbucks will change Rome? No, not at all. I mean, Rome has McDonald's. It hasn't changed Rome. At McDonald's, most of the people you see there are young Italians, but they still go to like Italian restaurants. They just sometimes want a cheeseburger. So I think that Starbucks will be mostly people that want a frou-frou coffee, like a peppermint mocha. Starbucks opened in Milan maybe a year ago, and there's a few locations there. But cafes there are still doing fine, like the traditional Roman cafes. All right, what other questions do you guys have? Any rumors when Americans can come back? No, there's still no. I wish I could get just like a half. I don't know if I could do a whole. I ordered a second one. We have 20 minutes left, so why not? Oh yeah, so Americans coming back. Yeah, there's no talk of when Americans can be coming back, can be allowed back in. I mentioned that there's the new 30-minute test that Italy has started. So hopefully that'll lead to anyone being welcomed back, as long as they pass the test at the airport. Italy is reevaluating pretty much every 2 weeks their stance on who can come in. Right now, if you come from, I think it's France, Spain, Croatia, and Malta, you have to be tested at the airport, and then obviously quarantine if you don't pass the test. But they're much stricter than other European countries right now. So we'll see when they allow the states to come back. Let's see, St. Francis's feast day. Yep, that's coming up. So I'll probably go somewhere special for that day, but it's none of the churches I'm going to on my novena are Franciscan churches. Let's see. An insult to Italian coffee for Starbucks opening in Italy. I mean, Starbucks was created because the guy loved Italian cafes so much. I don't think it's an insult. There are plenty of cafes and restaurants in Italy that are not Italian. So I don't think it's an insult. I mean, it's a big chain, it's American and all that, but an insult's kind of a stretch, maybe. Again, I don't think anybody's going to be going there for the coffee. They'll be going there for the fun drinks. Like, you can't get a Frappuccino here. And I think that Italian kids are going to love stuff like that. They already go to McDonald's for milkshakes. Yeah, so I think it'll be fun. I don't think that Italian coffee is going to suffer because of a Starbucks here. All right. Robert Smith story. Okay, so I do need to tell the Robert Smith story again because that is the one Tipsy Tuesday that didn't save. I am going to do that. Probably not on a Tuesday though, because I know a lot of people did see it, even though it didn't save. I'll do it. I'll do it soon, and I'll tell you when that's going to happen. For those that don't know though, so I worked in the music industry, and The Cure was one of my bands, and I hung out with Robert Smith one night, and then because of that I started the Catholic Traveler. That's the very, very short version. That's it. Okay, so it's a different cup. What's up with that? Let's see. It's just as good. Moscow Mule. Okay, I see some new people here. So yeah, the Roman Novena, that's where I visit 9 churches a day for 9 days. All the information's on my website, thecatholictraveler.com. Don't leave Tipsy Tuesday though, go check it out. Check it after Tipsy Tuesday. So yeah, one church a day would not. That's not my style. I'm the person that goes to a church for every. Wait, that doesn't sound right. On my birthday, I go to the number of churches for the number of years. That still doesn't sound right. Why can't I figure out how to say this? I just turned 45. Well, I was quarantined, so I couldn't go anywhere. But on my 44th birthday, I went to 44 churches in a day. And I did the same thing on my 43rd birthday, went to 43 churches. So yeah, 9 churches every day. Great combo, Starbucks and Apple. Yep, that's like 2 of my favorite things. Now we just need a Chipotle. We are getting a Five Guys. That's not going to be near the Apple Store and Starbucks. But we're getting a Five Guys in Rome here. Someday. They've been like opening soon for over a year. Who's the switch? Colleen works for United. Yeah, I don't think you have any flights to Europe or to Rome right now. There is a flight a couple times a week from New York to Rome on Delta, but that's a repatriation flight, so only people that have a valid reason from going between the U.S. and Rome are allowed. I am looking forward to having Americans back and being able to go home, because I mean, Rome is my home, but America's my home. So I haven't been back in the States since February. I went back for my mom's birthday, and then my wife and kids, they haven't been back to the States since Thanksgiving. And we usually go back a few times a year, so I'm really looking forward to the borders opening up. Now, technically, I could go back now because I'm American, but it's just the quarantine on either side makes it very complicated. And just to get on a flight from the U.S. to Rome, there's all this paperwork you have to fill out, and you have to go through the embassy and all that. And it kind of depends on the day of the week. So, Mandy loves Tipsy Tuesday. Thank you, Mandy. I do too. This is 2 months now of Tipsy Tuesday. I'm enjoying Tipsy Tuesday, so I'm glad that you show up for it. I think though, next week I'm going to try to do it on YouTube. And I mentioned this previously, but Facebook is good because I have a lot of followers on Facebook, and Facebook saves all the comments. So that's good for Tipsy Tuesday. Instagram, I also love my community on Instagram, but the problem with Instagram is they don't save the comments, and so I lose all of that. So like I scroll through and read stuff, but sometimes I miss things, so it's nice to be able to go back and scroll through. YouTube, if I do a live on YouTube, it'll save everything. And so what I've been doing most weeks is I have two devices. Instagram on my phone and Facebook on my iPad. And like right now I'm in a bar, in a cafe, and I have two devices. I have a microphone coming out of each device. And so while it doesn't really look silly to you because it just looks like I'm in a cafe or a bar, everybody around me sees just some random guy with a phone on a tripod. My iPad, I want to raise it up a little bit so you're not like looking up at me. And so it's sitting on something big. Last week it was on a wine crate. And so it'd be nice to just do it on one device. And everybody can go to YouTube because everybody has a YouTube account. Because the thing that happens if I do it only on Facebook, the people on Instagram say, "Oh, I don't have a YouTube or a Facebook account." And if I do it on Facebook, people say, "I'm not on Instagram. I don't want to know the social network." So we'll see. Maybe I'll do it on 3 devices. Just be surrounded by devices. Jerry says, "Which brand of coffee do I use at home?" So during our Rome quarantine, it came up kind of fast. It was like, starting tomorrow, this stuff closes, but these things are going to stay open. And then it was, the next day it was like, oh, no, tomorrow we're going to close everything except grocery stores. And so I went 55 days without coffee. Now my wife drinks out of she would use an AeroPress, but I didn't like it. So we also had a French press and we had a mocha pot. But our mocha pot doesn't fit on the stove in our new apartment because the burners are like this far apart. And so the mocha pot we have, you put it right on the stove and it would kind of fall over. And so right when the quarantine ended, we bought a Nespresso. So that's bigger in Europe than it is in America, but it makes espresso. In America, a lot of you have Keurig, which is kind of the same thing, but that makes more sippable American coffee. And so now at home we have Nespresso. And some of my favorite cafes make Nespresso pods, like Santo Stacchio has Nespresso. I love Illy Coffee, so they make Nespresso pods. But for the most part, we just buy the Nespresso pods. But I do like Lavazza. Oh, actually, Lavazza makes espresso pods too. Let's see. I'm still scrolling through your comments now. Instagram cuts us off in about 10 minutes, so I'll probably start wrapping it up. Joni had a bunch of meetings and missed them. Sorry. Let's see. This is good for Pacific time. Good. I hope you're not drinking at whatever time it is on the West Coast. It looks like most people, this is good for timing. Looks like a mint julep. No, it's a Moscow Mule. It has cucumber in it. I was told it looks like a Pim's cup. I don't even know what that is. I just spilled some. That's what happens when I order 2 drinks. John says, many EU travelers coming to Rome. Yep, we're getting a lot of European visitors. Is it possible to visit the top of St. Peter's? Yeah, the dome is open again. So you can't go to the top of St. Peter's. I went in 1999 and that was enough for me. Beautiful view. I've gone to the roof many times. So you can take an elevator to the roof. And there's a cafe up there, there's a gift shop. You can actually go to the inside of the dome and look down into the church. But I'm not a big fan of the stairs leading up to the tip top of the dome. We do need to do it at some point. Sandra, yes, doctor, this is my second Moscow Mule. And I have to go see the Pope tomorrow, so I can't get too tipsy. Scott says, yay, Delta. That's my airline. Karen says for people that can't get to Mass, CWTN is broadcasting Mass every day. Yeah, that's good. The online masses have been very helpful for people. Surrounded by techie friends. Lorraine says, how's the weather been? As soon as fall kicked in, the weather dropped. Let's see. Still going through your comments here. Have my colleagues discussed how touring will change in Rome? Yeah, last week, I guess this was after Tipsy Tuesday, I think it was Wednesday. I went to a wine bar here in Rome, and I was with another person that leads tours, I was with a journalist, and I was with someone who runs a wine bar that's very popular. And we were talking about how things will change for the future. I think tourism, for the most part, has changed forever. I think the days are gone when you'll have a bus, at least of Americans, of packed buses, 50 people per bus. I mean, maybe eventually, but for a while anyway. And then also single rooms. So when you sign up for a pilgrimage, if you're single, a lot of tour companies do this. You can pay extra for a single supplement where you have your own room, or we'll pair you up with another single. And that's worked out really well. I've had people that have met their best friend by being roomed up with another single. But that's going to be a hard sell going forward, right? Like, with viruses going around, are people going to want to be roomed with somebody they don't know? So I think that's a big change. I think hotels are going to have to change and add more single rooms instead of twin rooms, double beds. Right now, museums are a lot different with the way they only allow so many people, which is a great thing, actually. If you've ever been to the Vatican museums, 30,000 people a day going through in normal time. So yeah, that's going to change. I think it'll change for the better. And also, there's a lot of places that will never reopen. There's hotels that are still closed. I went by a big hotel today that's very popular with groups. Hotel, I can't remember the name. It's in the Prati neighborhood. I've never stayed there, but a lot of groups stay there. And it's still closed. So there are hotels that probably won't reopen. There's restaurants that have not reopened. A lot of the kind of the fly-by-night tourism shops, I don't know if they'll survive. So yeah, things are going to change, and some of it will be definitely for the better. All right, I'm scrolling through Instagram here. The wife and girls are going great. School's going great. My wife started school 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think, and it's been going really well. On my birthday, I visit the number of churches equal to the number of years. Thank you. When I was trying to explain that a few minutes ago, I couldn't figure out how to say it. I like McDonald's in Italy better than the U.S. Yeah, so even fast food restaurants here, they have to follow the EU rules. And so, there's not the high fructose corn syrup and everything. Everything is fresher. Chicken nuggets actually look like chicken. So the McDonald's here is a lot better than the McDonald's in the States. And I go very often to the Vatican McDonald's. So that's a McDonald's that's located in a building owned by the Vatican. And the cappuccino there, excellent. So they grind their own beans. They have a real cappuccino machine. It's really, really good. So it's a lot different. I always enjoy how relaxed you DJ says she enjoys how relaxed I am at the end of Tipsy Tuesdays. That's because I'm tipsy. So, yes. Joni, yay for Nespresso. Another person loves Nespresso. Mandy loves Nespresso. I don't know why I didn't know about Nespresso before just a couple weeks ago or months ago. All right, so if you are on Instagram, I've got to stop the live feed and start it back because at 1 hour it deletes everything. So I'm going to stop it and I'll pop back on for a few minutes of the after party. If you're on Facebook, you can just stay there because I'm still here. So Instagram, if you can come back, great. If not, have a good Tuesday. I'm going to end it now. And Facebook, I am still here. So I just have to restart Instagram. So Kathleen says wobbly Wednesday with Sarah. Yes. That was definitely wobbly Wednesday. We went through, it was either 6 or 7 bottles of wine, but it was over 5 hours. So I wasn't even tipsy. Nobody was tipsy. It was just a fun night talking to a lot of people. All right, so Instagram. Starting back. I don't know why I can't do Instagram and Facebook from the same device at the same time. That would make so much more sense. Alright, so I'm still on Facebook. Instagram still hasn't restarted, so you're getting like a bonus minute. And then now Instagram is starting back. Tammy says she's from Louisiana. I spent a lot of time in Louisiana. I had a lot of good friends from there. So I used to drive to Louisiana every couple of weeks, which is crazy, from Atlanta. And sometimes I would stay just for the weekend. So it's like a 7-hour drive each way. Instagram is coming back on. I see my kid is here. Hi, Amelia. Hi, Lily. Hi, wife. Yeah, so my friends lived in Slidell, so we'd go to New Orleans all the time. So I love Louisiana, although I haven't been in forever. Alright, I'm still going through the questions here. James, also from Georgia. Pilgrimage with babies. So yeah, I've had a lot of babies on pilgrimages, and it always works out well. That's a question I get a lot, like how young is too young for someone to travel with their kids. And we brought our oldest daughter when she was 3, and she remembers some of it, but we remember a lot of it. And that's kind of what's most important for the parents, is you get to experience all these things with your kid. And we actually gave her a camera, and so she took pictures the whole time, and so we were able to kind of see Italy through her eyes. And on that particular trip, we also had my parents and my aunt, and so that was a lot of fun. So I think, I mean, you know your kids better than I do, but I think any age is great to bring to Rome. I am inside without a mask, yes. So we have to have masks inside. So when I came into the bar, I had a mask on. But when we sit at a table, we can take it off. So the waiter, I don't know if you saw the waiter came over earlier, they did not, I mean, they did have masks on. But if I go to a church, if I go to a museum, if I go to a grocery store, we have to wear masks. And there's no like people fighting about it. Everybody just does it. I mean, there might be some people. I know that for a while the communists, we have a communist party here. I know that they were really mad about it. It's kind of the opposite of the States, I guess. But yeah, so masks always inside and outside when it's a crowded space. But only like if you're in a... Really, that was to kind of deter people from bars hanging out outside the bar. So, yeah, no masks are required when you're sitting at a table. And I get that that's ridiculous because, like, there's people right in front of me, so they're getting all my they're getting all my germs. But I guess when you're eating, you're not contagious. I don't know. Hi, Kathy. Hi, Martha. People jumping back on. Do I have any favorite saints? Yeah, I have a lot. I don't even know if I can go through it all here. The most recent, St. John Paul II. I met him. He blessed my marriage, so that was really cool. It's kind of cool to like actually know a saint. Padre Pio is another favorite, even though he kind of freaks me out, like the bilocation and being able to know your sins and all that. I mean, it's really cool, but at the same time, it's kind of like weird. So I guess you don't hear that a lot. Like Padre Pio freaks me out. St. Philip Neri I mentioned earlier, just because he's the patron saint of Rome, and I love Rome. St. Francis I love, just because I love Assisi. St. Catherine, that's my daughter's saint. St. Teresa, because that's my other daughter's saint, and it's my home parish, and it's my mom's name. St. Michael, that's my dad's name. That's also my baptismal name. So I have a lot of favorite saints. Funny stories about American tourists in Italy. I have so many stories. Like, I have a whole book worth of stories of crazy stuff that Americans do here. But I can't get into all those now. Let's see. I'm scrolling through the comments again. Again, this is the after party, so this is my second Moscow Mule. I am at Cafe Fiorentina, which is in Trionfale. It's near one of the big markets in Rome. I come here a lot for coffee and pastries, and it's just a great spot. They have a full menu of drinks. They have food. Usually there's a lot of people here, but because of the virus, there's a lot of outdoor tables now, and so they have, I mean, Rome already has a lot of outdoor seating. Right now there's even more, and so most people are sitting outside, but I wanted to come inside because we're by a major road, and that might have been annoying. I don't know. Is it expensive to come in Rome? I get this question every week. Our apartment is €1,700 a month, so that is pricey. That's like $1,800 or so. But we are right beside St. Peter's. So we're like, I mean, we're right where I want to be. But it kind of depends on where you go. There are studio apartments on our street that go for $2,400, $2,500. So we got a really good deal. But then if you go a little further outside of the city, you can find an apartment for $800, $900 a month. So it just kind of depends. DJ wants a story of how misleading tour guides can be. I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't know. Is there a piazza in front of St. Mary Major? Yes. I can't remember the name either. That's actually a spot I'm going to go for an upcoming Tipsy Tuesday. There's a great bar over there called Gatsby. Tiffany Parks finds something offensive. What did you find offensive? What did I miss? Tiffany lives here in Rome, and she's an author. What did you find offensive? I don't know what I said. I don't like to offend people that live here in Rome. Oh, lying tour guides. Oh, yeah. Well, it happens. There are plenty of tour guides that well, I knew it wasn't me, but maybe I said something. Yeah, there are plenty of people that just say stuff for effect. And I think maybe DJ is talking about, I don't know, the Cherry Festival maybe? I've had some people, no, you don't need to apologize. Tiffany's apologizing now. So I mentioned Tiffany Parks, author. You should go check out her book. I can't remember the name. Midnight in Rome, I think. Great book. She's working on another one for Caravaggio, and it's really good for kids. So my kids love it. So check out her book. I'm sure she'll mention it here. Okay, I'm going through the comments again. Midnight in the Piazza. Yeah, that's right. Midnight in the Piazza. It's about the turtle fountain. So the turtle fountain, a lot of you know here in Rome. Again, this is Tipsy Tuesday after party. So I've already done a whole hour talking about my Roman Novena, which you can follow, or which you can find on my website, thecatholictraveler.com. This is my second Moscow Mule from Cafe Fiorentina in the Trionfale area. And I'm just slightly beyond tipsy, so I'll probably be wrapping this up soon so I don't say anything too crazy. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook, so if you see me looking back and forth, that's why. Can I do Italian coffee as part of a tour? DJ, you're saying that they made reference to a musical group. I don't remember that. Oh, I remember. So DJ is talking about tour guides that just say crazy things. So I was in the Vatican Museums once, and there was this guide, an official guide for the Vatican, not just like an official tour guide, but official guide for the Vatican uses. He took people into the Raphael rooms and showed them the School of Athens, which is like super famous work. And he said, do you guys recognize this? He had a group of like 30 people with him. And then he pulled out an iPad and he showed them a picture of the Guns N' Roses Lose Your Appetite. I think that's the name of the album cover. Not Appetite for Destruction, the next one. And it said, do you recognize this picture? It was on the Guns N' Roses album cover. And then he left. And that was it. That's all he said about Raphael. He wasn't one of my guides. So, a little disclaimer there. If that's what you're talking about, DJ, I don't know. Debbie says, well, I do an Italian coffee tasting as part of a tour. Yeah, my friend at Sant'Eustachio is actually going to do a coffee class for my kids, part of homeschool. So I'm looking forward to that. And I will... I'll definitely be sharing that. But that would be good for when people are here in person as well. Scrolling through, Pamela says I should write a book. There are a few books I'm working on. But one is definitely crazy stuff that happens on pilgrimage, because I've been doing this for almost 16 years and I've seen some wonderful stuff and insane stuff. So that'll be one of my books. Relics of St. Francis de Sales. I think so. Daoud is here. That's my guide in Jordan. How big is my apartment? We have a 2-bedroom. I don't know how big square footage wise. 2 bedrooms, 1 big sitting room, separate kitchen, and 2 bathrooms. It's actually pretty big for Rome, like being in the center of Rome. Am I out of questions? I think I'm out of questions. Nobody has any more questions. So, I'll wrap it up. So if you're just signing on, because I just started the Instagram again, I talked about my Roman Novena, which starts on Thursday. And I explained all the churches I'm going to be visiting and why. But all that information is on my website at The Catholic Traveler. So go there and check it out. But starting October 1st, I'm going to visit 9 churches a day for 9 days. It's not like an official traditional traditional novena, but it's one that it's one that I just made up. And I did this a few years ago as well. So check that out, thecatholictraveler.com. I also talked about the patrons thing I'm going to do. So for my patrons, You can also find that on my website. I'm going to do an after hours Vatican Museums tour on Saturday at 8 o'clock Rome time, 2 o'clock Eastern. We could do the time zones after that. Anyway, so that's what this whole Tipsy Tuesday was. So I will be back next Tuesday, same time. I don't know where I'll be. And then probably between now and then, I'll do the Robert Smith story again because so many people are asking for it. And I need to do it so it saves. About how me hanging out with Robert Smith for a night helped me start the Catholic Traveler. That's Robert Smith of the Cure. Anyway, so thank you for joining. It's great that you're here every week. This is our 8th week together for Tipsy Tuesday. And so I am going to sign off if I can figure out where to do it. So, ciao from Rome. Hope you're doing well. And remember, CatholicTraveler.com. Go to the Roman Novena that starts Thursday. Fill out the form for your prayer requests. Have a great night. Have a great Tuesday. Enjoy the debate. And I'll see you next week.